Hey YouTube world, and hey to my Neville Nation and my fellow Law of Assumption Journey members. It's me, Neville Girl, coming to you with another amazing episode. Welcome to the channel, or welcome back. If you're new here, say hello, drop an emoji. We're so glad to have you. And on this channel, we make our dreams come true. I've claimed it for me, and I'm claiming it for you. And so we make our dreams come true. And this is about continuing my journey about when I found Neville Goddard and everything that's unfolded in my manifestation journey. So I've got an important episode for you tonight because we're continuing on with being a master manifester. So stick around through the whole thing, because as many of you know who aren't new, I share everything that I've learned along the way, no holding back. And I have a lot to say on this topic. And we're going to go specifically into self-concept versus self-image. But we are going to first recap from the last episode, because I want to go over and show that you are a master manifester. So if you saw the last episode, this is going to be a pretty quick recap, but I had some things to add to from that episode. So really quick, I'm going to show you the difference between 3D and how we've been taught to manifest through default and not even been told or made aware that we are manifesting, and then the empowered way. So this is going to be in mirrored version, so you're not going to be able to read it. I wish we could, because it'd be great to take a screenshot. But manifesting, okay? So number one, 3D, the unempowered version, is just random thoughts. You get an idea, you hear something in the news, a friend starts talking about it. And I did pick as the last time the topic of a car, like your dream car. But in 3D, everything's random. It's by default. It's whatever comes your way. You start dwelling, thinking, random thoughts. On the empowered side of things, you would be selecting and choosing what it is you want. So in this case, we were discussing a dream car. You're choosing your thoughts, and then you're getting prepared to go into manifestation mode. So the next part is like in the 3D, unempowered, is fear, dwelling on thoughts. And then you also start to go into asking what ifs. And what if this or what if that happens on any given topic? So if it was your dream car, how would I get it? It doesn't make sense. It's your logical mind. It's more that, there is no logical way. All of this is building momentum, and it's part of imagination. Versus on the empowered side of things, you would go into your positive affirmations, your rampages, living in the end, doing your SATs, which is the state akin to sleep, where you're creating the visions you want. Not default of like, when you start dwelling, tell me if you haven't in the past, I know I've been there. We start dwelling, you get these little images, just like it could be any topic. Well, what if I never got it? What if my friends laughed at me? What if? We get these imaginations. That's your imagination. That's creation, but being used in the negative. So what we have learned through working with Neville and the law of assumption is that we are empowered, we are in control, and there's a really important power move I want to teach you tonight that is knowledge is power, and there's something important, so stick around, because I'm going to be showing that very soon here about energy and how to redirect it. So, but back to the difference between 3D and how we do it in the 4D, 5D. With Neville and the law of assumption. And then you get into like 4 would be play-by-play. And I love this example. I've heard it where, the people who are always talking about their day play-by-play, like you're a newscaster, like you're a sportscaster. And then, God forbid, you start talking about your dream car, because we're back to the dream car, and you go talk to your friend, or you talk to your mom. And then you're like talking to your friends, and do you know what my mom said? She said that, how are you going to do this? How are you going to do that? So on and so forth, and vice versa. So you're going back and forth and listening to others' opinions. You haven't decided. Like, we get to decide, and we know that we get to decide because we don't know we get to decide when you're working off of 3D. And the 4 or 5D, We know we get to decide. We know we get to go to the end. We get to feel what it feels like. We get to get into alignment with the vibration by doing your sats, by doing all of the things that make us feel that if we've already experienced it in the 4 and 5D. And so even though we don't see that dream car yet, we've already driven it. We already know what kind of stereo audio package. We know what the leather interior is going to be like. We already know all about it. It's just so empowered to know that we get to select all this. And then instead of doing the play-by-play, which is again reactive to the 3D, you're just reacting, you get to be empowered and start to ask questions. You know, why does my dream car get to experience me now? Why am I experiencing my dream life now? And the reason why I love affirmations, even though I love, and we've gone over the power of I am, because we see so many things throughout the day that are I am. And also I am is acknowledging the part of you that is the higher power, that we are one with God, as Neville would say. And the part of that is God, is our wonderful imagination. But that is also the power of I am. So there's two versions of I am. So when we go into affirmations, I've discovered from watching a lot of neuroscience information that also helps bypass the subconscious, because when you're asking affirmations, it's not, your subconscious isn't even trying to say, well, that's not even true. But all of it is good. I do all of it. It's all wonderful. And then it goes into and I just wrote, I'm selecting my vibe. I'm doing affirmations, and isn't it wonderful? Everything is wonderful. And I'll tell you, the next little thing I'm going to show you right after I finish this little recap is going to show you how valuable and how amazing Neville was by coming up with things like, isn't it wonderful? And actually, it was one of his clients that came up with that. But we'll get into that in a moment. So on the 3D side, we had the play-by-play. You're just discussing the issues, and you're getting frustrated in traffic. So then you're talking to your friends about it. You're talking to yourself about it. Anger is just attracting more anger. You're just building momentum. Frustration is building more frustration. All of these things, all your question marks, the how and the whys about your dream car is not bringing it any closer, really. I mean, it could help you get into some creative mode, but in general, in default, in the 3D, we're just reacting. And so anyway, we are getting a vibration by default. We're just reacting. Versus after we've gotten into our affirmations, after we've done our sats, isn't it wonderful? Everything's wonderful. We selected our vibration. We've already selected our dream car. We know what it feels like. We know all the details. Then we go into the delusion of it all, which I love hearing the description that delusion just means like stepping away from the illusion. So it's so common to say delulu, but delulu, you just ignore the 3D, because as Neville would say, it's just old shadows of our old assumptions just passing through. And we've already selected our new vibration. We've already selected our dream car. We've already selected our alignment, and we just need to maintain the alignment until the universe, God, source, spirit actually finds a way to, whether we want to say create a bridge of incidents. I always say that you really don't see the bridge of incidents until after everything's happened, like in hindsight, but it'll always feel natural. So I feel like the most important tip I can say about this is feeling natural about having the item and that experiencing it already in the 4D, 5D, so that when it shows up, it's something that feels natural, normal, and you're in total alignment with it. So all those things, whether it's the 3D or the empowered version, is all creating a focus. Where your focus goes, energy flows. You're building a story, you're building energy, and you're ultimately manifesting. So decide which way you want to manifest. So that was a kind of quick recap, but I wanted to say that because there's so much to say tonight about self-concept versus self-image. I'm kind of blending the last couple episodes because I had so much to say about this. And I also did want to say on this chart is that when you're in the 3D and when you look at the comparison of the 4 and 5D, both fear, which is 3D, or hope, which is 45D or even faith, they both take like a version of faith and belief. So what do you want to have faith and belief in, right? So those are important questions to ask yourself, but I did want to talk about the power of self-concept versus self-image, because it can get confused. And I want to break it down for you how I best understand it. And I also want to talk about the power of 17/58. And what that's really representing is seconds. And the reason why is, as many of you know who've been following me, I was also certified as a law of attraction life coach with Abraham Hicks before I found Neville Goddard. And it gave me a lot of amazing tools, but it didn't click for me like Neville did. But here's the thing about vibration, and here it comes to manifesting, that when we're starting to think about something, the way that Esther Hicks used to say it is you have 17 seconds. Like if you've given something a new attention for 17 seconds, you've changed the course of that vibration and you've redirected it, okay? So if I were to set my timer now, 17 seconds. 17 seconds goes by pretty quick. So if you caught yourself doing something more in the 3D, if you were to stop and do a positive thinking, positive rampage, which is all going to get into the self-concept stuff we're going to talk about, that was 17 seconds. 17 seconds. So like the person who's having anger, like in traffic, or a conversation with someone that frustrated them, they don't realize that in 17 seconds, if they were to pause, walk away, not dwell, not think. And that's why I love Isn't It Wonderful? Everything's Wonderful, because it's one of those things that if you could just walk away from the topic mentally and physically, and in 17 seconds, you can redirect your focus of your energy and your alignment. Now, I said 17 and then /58. Because that 58 seconds is if you can hold that past the 17 seconds and hold it for a full 58 seconds, which is almost a minute, you've actually managed to cement that new vibration in. And that's why I recommend setting a timer for when you're first starting to play and practice with having like mental mastery and discovering what a powerful manifestor you are. Setting a timer for maybe like 5 minutes. And just see. At first start with 1 and just see how long you can talk positively on that thing. So in this instance, it would be your dream car. You know, I love my dream car. It's amazing. It's this color. It's this kind of engine. It's this kind of make and model. These are the places I want to go. These are the things I want to see. This is the kind of interior. This is the kind of audio system. This is, you know, how it makes me feel. With no 3D input on it. See how much you can do. But it's really important to know that that's how powerful we are, and it doesn't take very long. Knowledge is power. And my friends, 17 seconds can pause and stop. So that is why when I discovered Neville Goddard and the simplicity, but the brilliance of what he was sharing at the time, there wasn't the science. Now we've got science. It's not like woo-woo fairy dust. I mean, that sounds romantic and sweet, but when you've got science behind it, it no longer becomes like a mythological thing. So isn't it wonderful? Everything's wonderful. He had a client everything was going wrong in their life. And they said, he asked this woman, like, what is it that you would say? How would you feel if everything was going right in your life? If everything that was going wrong in your life was recorrected, what would you say? And this gal came up with, isn't it wonderful? Everything is just wonderful. But let's see, 17 seconds. Isn't it wonderful? Everything is just wonderful. And that is just a couple seconds. But if you were to say that, close your eyes and then actually feel that feeling and actually start talking maybe about what is going right, what is wonderful, right? In a full minute, you've just recorrected all your energy. So, and you've gone on to that new trajectory. And I know some people don't believe in all the alignments and so on and so forth, but let me tell you, when I was going through, and I shared in my last episode, some dark chapters after manifesting huge, tremendous things, I can tell you that when I was focusing on what wasn't going right, I attracted more of what wasn't going right. I didn't feel empowered because I didn't know that I was manifesting both the wanted and unwanted. I didn't know I was that empowered. And it was when I discovered Neville that it all came together, and I realized how empowered we are and how powerful our minds are, and selecting and choosing, and how simple it is. It's so simple that we can almost miss it because we're looking for a million different trillion techniques. It doesn't have to be. And like I mentioned before, if you're new here, I'm not huge on on many techniques. It's more like the concepts, because isn't it wonderful? Everything is wonderful. I say it throughout the day in my mind and just as I go. So if I see something challenging in my life, I'm going to acknowledge those are old stories, old energy, as Neville would say, in the 3D, and it's just passing through. And it's old energy, right? If quantum physics says that what we are experiencing new and fresh in the 4 and 5D is realer than the 3D, then why would I give the 3D any of my face time? Like, why give it any energy at all? And so a little challenge to you is to say that when I did come across Neville, and actually just before him, I had a friend who pointed out, because of the dark chapter I went through, that I used to worry about everything. I mean, I was used to things going amazing for so long. You've seen the videos where I manifested $1 million and other large chunks and things went so right, but I didn't know how I was doing it. And so now things weren't going so right for quite a long time. I was really honest about it because I hold nothing back here, because I want you to learn, and I'm sharing my journey as I'm moving forward, as things have been unfolding great since I've come across Neville. But I had a friend say, you worry about everything. And I decided to give up worry. So it's been a year and some change, maybe almost going on a year and a half. I gave up worry because this was either all true. I mean, before I even found Neville, I was just thinking, you know, you're right, because if I worry, if law of assumption, law of attraction is true, and law of attraction, all it means is that you don't attract what you want, you attract who you are. So if I'm worried, then I'm going to attract more to worry about. So I decided, you know, some of the people I know who are doing the best in the world right now, like that are surrounding me, they don't worry much, hardly about anything. So I was like, you know what, like other people give up stuff for New Year's Eve or whatever, I'm going to give up worry. I'm going to see what that looks like, because I'm tired of worrying. I'm tired of this chapter. And so right after that is when I came across Neville, and it all blended together, and it made me realize that it was true, that law of attraction was just that. Like, I used to think law of attraction was the thing when The Secret came out, but all it means is that you attract who you are, not what you want. Then you need to follow and look into like the law of resonance, because like Dr. Joe Dispenza and Mary Morrissey, they talk more about it. It's like then you start to come into alignment with who you are, which is, this is where we're getting into self-concept versus self-image, because again, Neville was brilliant, because when you go and do SATs, you're not just imaging your future thing you're trying to create. No, my friends, it's way more brilliant than that. And he didn't have the science to back it up. But you are choosing a new version of you, a new self-concept that also has a new self-image on every topic. So if you're doing a state akin to sleep for your dream life in general, guess what? If you've done it enough times, then you're gonna know what that feels like for real. So that's how you know if you've done it. Like, you will start to get new ideas and new thought patterns, okay? On any topic, on your SP, on your money, on vacationing and traveling, and your relationships and work. It starts there. It's a fantastic place. And that was before the science of it. Now, Neville and Dr. Joe Dispenza, they talk about so many similar things, but Dr. Joe Dispenza has the science. So it's so brilliant. And I wanted to point out too on my list is that Mary would always say 3D was common hour thinking. So we don't want to be common hour Karens. No, we do not. We're master manifestors. And that's what I'm showing you, because I showed it to myself. I decided to make my whole life an experiment. I gave up worry. And then as I really dove into Neville and some other things and the quantum physics that helped to show me that back it up, that it wasn't just woo-woo fairy stuff. Like I already believed in that, but it helped to solidify everything so clearly for me. So self-concept versus self-image. And I did a little bit about it yesterday with my last episode. Okay. But this is where I used to be afraid of the word self-concept, because it felt like it meant the word self-image. It might. But I'm going to challenge you with something and just say it's your self-concept related to every topic in your life. So you might have an amazing self-concept with money, as I shared with previous stories. So I highly recommend going back to the last episode about self-concept. But it's like your concept could be off in relationships. And how do you know what your self-concept is on any given topic? Is number one, you can look around and see the results, right? That will give you feedback and information, but it's also the thoughts that start flooding into your mind, because this is what I was so amazed to come across and share with you, my friends. I said it the other night and I'm going to say it here again tonight too, because all of this is powerful, just to show you how empowered we are. Your thought is an affirmation. You choose a thought on the topic. Your affirmation is part of your self-concept to that topic. It is also a vibration, and it is also an alignment to the version of you who has that version of you in the quantum field of possibilities, of the experience of you with that concept of that topic, which AKA is assumption. It's like whatever your opinion is and what is your assumption. But where did that opinion come from? Where did that assumption come from? It comes from the concept that you have on that topic. And when we get into science, why do they have double and triple experiments, like blind experiments? Because whoever observes or even thinks about observing that experiment they have found in science will affect it. So it is you don't have to know all this, and that is the beauty of it. But if you have a curious mind like myself, and if you really had wanted to know how it works, and I know there's so many people who disagree, there's the people, and I love the channels that are all about just be, decide, choose, be. But I realized when I saw those, and I've shared them even with my girlfriends who have been at this for a long time, you have to have amazing self-concept, and probably, especially, self-image, but self-concept with everything. In my opinion, to just be and go through the world and manifest that way, I feel like it's an enlightened version. Now, can you do it? Yes. If you can master every thought that's coming through your mind, I believe you can. If your self-concept, even if your self-concept sucks on all these topics, but you are excellent at stopping and pausing, doing your 17 and 58 seconds, and just saying no, arguing, like I mentioned the other one. I love to argue with the 3D. I do, because I've been informed and I am too aware that this is old energy. This is energy that's moving out. It's old information. It's information about old past thoughts and beliefs and assumptions, but it's old energy. So if you can get a hold of yourself 24/7 like that and be Delulu 24/7, absolutely, then be. And some people maybe just might be gifted in all those ways. I think it's totally possible, and I've seen certain things I'm going to talk about in the next couple videos. We're going to talk about main character energy. I do see where you can move into it, but you got to start somewhere. And when I was starting from a dark chapter, then isn't it wonderful? Everything's wonderful, and the thank you prayer and just going at it bite by bite and just discovering and knowing. And I knew from working with Esther and Abraham Hicks about the 17 and 58 seconds, but I didn't grab a hold of that power. My friends, knowledge is power. Grab a timer. See how much you are focusing on any topic, and really notice what you're noticing. Like Mary said, what is it you are thinking about each topic? Because you actually have an energetic relationship with every topic. So that's why I'm saying self-concept. When people think about it, they're like, oh no, I feel good about myself. Okay, you might, and especially if you have a great self-image. But even that's a general. What if you have a great self-image, like you feel great overall, which that would be a overall energy, but then you're like, but I don't like my feet or whatever. That's breaking down into self-image. But if your overall self-image is like, I'm amazing, great. You might be amazing. I've been there before. Like, hey, I feel pretty dang good, but I don't feel really great about this with a friend or that with a work issue or this. That's what I mean. It's your relationship with each topic. So it's some work, friends. I'm not gonna lie, that's why I had to kind of dip out last year and spend some time tackling what I was telling a girlfriend. I was like kicking some 3D butt because I was determined to approach the 3D just by telling it off, basically, you know, and you don't want to really tell it off, but just say, like, I don't believe you. I know my truth. I've been to the end. I know quantum physics. I know what I've selected on the quantum timelines. I know for me, I've decided that this is who I am. I'm picking this version. I know what it feels like. I've been to the SATs. I've seen it. I've experienced it. I've done it over and over again. This is my truth. This is what I know. And I just take nothing else, you know, the rest of it is, I don't believe. Because I did hear some stories about people actually telling off the 3D, like for reals. And I don't want to recommend that either, because you just want to be in harmony with things, harmony with what you know there. So there's so much more to say about all this, but I did want to dive into the difference between self-concept and self-image, because our self-image should be, and our goal is, you would want it to be amazing. And that's why I love our self-concept subliminals. I was sharing in the last audio. I really love the channel Law of Assumption Girly and her subliminal that is called My Self-Concept is Top Tier, because when you really look at her Google Doc that is attached, which makes for amazing affirmations and affirmations, it goes into more than self-love. It goes into other topics. And as our self-concept and our self-image grows, your concept on every topic is going to grow. Like when you've been to the end, you're going to have new thoughts on every topic. They're going to change. It's amazing how it happens. It does happen, but you just want to be aware. There might just be a little wobble in there. Pay attention to the one where you still have a fear on something or something popping up. I'm not wanting to make this video too long, but I wanted to make you aware that, you know, that's kind of what I used to think when I was like, oh, well, I've got good self-concept, but I don't need to go there. No. And this was the amazing part about Neville. He just went to the end. He saw it as it was. And then guess what? If you've already done that, if you've already been to the end and seen all these amazing things, you have a good relationship. But just in case, when it comes into your world, because I've been there before, last year when things did unfold and it was amazing and it was like overnight with like no birds before laid, no nothing, all of that. In hindsight, there were parts of me that were so new and so beautiful and so breathtaking after a dark chapter that I did have some default energy that was still like, you know, that like, what if the shoe drops? What if this is just temporary? Just like, and they're just fleeting thoughts, but it'll give you feedback and information. And things worked out pretty well last year, but some things did evolve and change. Like SP and I did not end up moving last fall. That's just an example. And there were some other things. So all I can say is everything is feedback. When you look at it, is that it's not as much self-image. There might be self-image, but subliminals are amazing for that. Oh, and I also love anything to do with high frequency guru. She has a lot of amazing, and my favorite one right now is the 180-degree transformation. Just, I look for things like that, because if our self-image and self-concept is growing and empowered, we have new opinions and new assumptions that we are forming on any given topic, and it's growing from there. It's all good stuff, guys. So just don't forget, we have a relationship with every single topic in our life. get a hold of it, notice what you're noticing, listen to subliminals. I highly recommend it because you could do when it's sleeping. It's like passive time, but just be aware that it's a relationship that with any topic, because we are master manifestors, and you don't want to be that, you know, common hour Karen, as Mary Morrissey would say, where it's common hour thinking, it's logic, and all these things that have been modeled to us in the 3D. No, we have learned so much more from law of assumption and everything, whether it's Neville Goddard. There's so many others. I mean, I could just start listing them here, but I don't want to make this video too long. But in the law of assumption journey, we are empowered. So please don't forget the 17 and 58 second rule. That is powerful to know. So if something's going on, pause, have your blanket statements, decide, isn't it wonderful? Everything's wonderful. Find some audios that are, isn't it wonderful? Everything's wonderful. Or with the thank you prayer. They're all out there, and I'll be sharing more as soon as we go live. Anyway, just wrapping this up. There's so much more to say, but that is plenty for tonight. But I wanted to share this because it's so powerful, and I want to empower you. And that is my wish for you, that we have a magical and empowered journey together as we're walking this out. So I don't know where you are in the world today or what you are trying to manifest, but I am holding a space and the assumption that all of your dreams have come true. And remember, you got this, and I'm showing you how. And so create something magical, create something wonderful. I usually say it in reverse. Create something wonderful, create something magical. And until the next time, bye.